The country belongs to Ghanaians. We can't share our country with anybody. Ghana is for Ghanaians alone.
We don't care about the rest of Africa. We only care about this particular country and how this particular country works. Hey guys, welcome back. Okay, today's video, I want to follow up on the video I did about South Africa recently. There have been like so many comments. In fact, I'll be honest, I couldn't read every comment. It was just too much. And so I thought I'd do a follow-up video to address some of the things that I heard in the video. So there are obviously different opposing sides to this whole debate, right? Where some people have a mindset of Pan-Africanism, right? Where Africa should be a borderless country and everybody should have free access to go to wherever they want, right? And then some people have the mindset where they feel like a borderless Africa is not possible. It's a fairy tale. It cannot happen because we have too many things going on at the moment. And I'm going to touch on some of those things, right? But then a lot of people in the comment section were also like, you're not understanding what we're trying to say in South Africa. You're not on the ground. We're saying that we don't want these people in the country who are actually illegal. They're using our free healthcare where they shouldn't be. If they're not South African, they should be going to paid places in order to seek if they need medical care and things like that, right? So there were all these different things going on, and it was a lot. It's a lot. You can see there's a lot. If you go back to that video and watch that video and you read the comments, there is a lot happening. Obviously, I cannot address everything, but I'm going to try my best, okay? So the first thing I want to tackle and say is that, and I've just touched on it, people in South Africa are saying, and not everybody, some people are just there just because they just want to cause commotion, but some people are saying that it's not the fact that other Africans are in South Africa, it's the fact that people are gaining illegal entry and they are taking away from the economy that South Africa currently has, right? So they feel like they're taking jobs, their infrastructure, there's a strain being put on infrastructure and all these types of things, right? I understand that, but personally, I think it's wrong as a citizen to go around and start demanding from people, let me see your papers, to see if the person is documented.
Are you immigration? You are not an immigration. This is my ID. And this is my ID. And then give me the right. No, you don't have the right. Come and take advantage. No, you are not an. Are you an immigration officer? Are you immigration officer?
Yes, we are from the city. I am from the
security. This is my ID. I have an ID. You don't have one. No. Call an immigration. No. Hey, back up.
Whether you like it or not, you can say that. It's fine. It's fine. Yes, then. What are you going to do about it? You're not going to enter here. You're not going to enter here. Oh,
I have an ID.
No. And, well, anyway, like I said, I feel like that's wrong. I'm sure a lot of you will probably disagree with me. I don't think that's right to do that. I don't see us doing that in Ghana or anywhere else that I know of that's happening, where a random person can just go up to someone and say, can I see your papers? I don't know where that actually exists. But anyway, so that's kind of like the feeling that I'm getting from the comments in the video, that's what people are more so saying. But we also have to understand that some people are blatantly being like we don't want Africans here, go fix your own country. And that is their only viewpoint. Not because you're illegal or legal or whatever. They don't care about that. They just care the fact that you're not South African. And so we have to also understand that that is part of the video. The woman who was in the previous video, she didn't actually state, well, you know, I want to know if you're legal or not. She was just like, we don't want Africans here, go and fix your own country. That's predominantly what she was saying. And so that's where a lot of people had issue with her. Now, I want to move on a little bit from that, and I want to talk about the realities of what a borderless African country, a borderless African continent would look like, right? There are many arguments for and against, and I can see both sides, okay? Now, the reason that some people are for having a borderless African continent is because of the power that it gives us. There's always power in unity, and that's what we have to remember. You see, some of the things that made this South Africa issue blow up to the extent that it has blown up is because many people believe that they're blacks fighting other blacks. Like, we have really forgotten who our actual oppressors are, and we've left them alone, and we're targeting almost like the lower hanging fruit, if that makes sense. So you're targeting individuals on the street where it's like you attack this individual, that doesn't actually change anything. It's just low hanging fruit. You're not actually getting to the target of the problem. So that's why some people have an issue with some of that, right? But if we're talking about a borderless continent, so Africa would essentially be an economic powerhouse, right? The resources, the skills that we have, we are, as Africans, we're very, very creative. And really there is nothing that we can't do. Our only downfall has always been unity and the fact that we seem to be unable to work together. But once we can remove those things, we become a global powerhouse. I'm telling you, the rest of the world would pretty much be afraid of the things that we could do. So that's why it suits them if we have borders that separates us, okay? But I mean, the issue is definitely a lot deeper than that. We also need to be mindful that, you know, when there are no borders, we have people who are able to move their skills around, right? So you have a certain skill set that is required in another country. Now, rather than being held up by the rules that govern that country that say you can't get in there because you don't have X, Y, Z, right? We have these people that are now going to be able to freely flow to those places to deliver their skills, to help people that they need to help, or to strengthen Africa or the country, because we're able to freely move skills around, right? So we can distribute much more easily. So there are points that are for and why it could work, right? And we're also going to talk about free trade. Now people are able to trade in everywhere. People are able to trade throughout Africa without having these restrictions. I'm going to give you some of the arguments against why people are against a borderless Africa. Now, some of those reasons I do also agree with. That's why it's like I personally can't take one side over another, because honestly speaking, both have very valid points, okay? Now, the reason that some people say that it's a fairy tale wanting to have a borderless Africa is because what will end up happening is that people will just migrate to certain places and put too much pressure on certain countries, right? For example, South Africa is seen as being pretty well developed, right? They have great infrastructure and all of this. So now people are going to be coming from poorer countries wanting to go to South Africa in search for greener pastures, right? They go there, then they put a strain on that economy, okay? Now you're going to have so much competition for low skilled level jobs. There's just going to be a lot of demands on the country. You know, people are worried about, you know, crime going up and things like that. It just feels like it's too much chaos. I guess if you could compare it, it would be like everybody wanting to go to one person's house. Now, because everybody's in one person's house, it's like the house is not running efficiently anymore as it was before, when it was controlled as to the number of people that were in it. So there was 10 people who lived in this house. The house was working amazingly, everything was functioning. Now we've got 1,000 people in the house. Now the house doesn't work well. We can't all fit in the kitchen. We're all trying to cook dinner at the same time. We're all trying to watch TV and we all want to watch different things. You know, there's all this. So there is an element of chaos that could potentially come if things are not put in place first, right? We have a lot of issues that we need to deal with first before we can open up all the borders, right? we have to understand as well, the borders were put there for a reason. The borders in Africa were put there by oppressors to stop us uniting and so that we are fragmented. And a lot of us have bought into that. And so for a lot of us, our thinking is that way. We don't care about any other black person or African. We only care about our own countries. And therefore, how do we move on from that? How do we then begin to unite when we're going to have people who have that mindset where they are like, well, we don't care about the rest of Africa. We only care about this particular country and how this particular country works. And ideally, yes, that is right to a certain extent because, you know, some people also have the argument where, you know, every government has to look after their own before they can look after other people. And so that's another argument that people are having when it comes to this whole South Africa issue, right? So it's like there's a whole thing of overcrowding and can different places, like how are you going to evenly distribute people, right? Because, you know, countries that we are known for being like very, very poor, having lots of poverty, I don't think that people are going to be like, okay, let me migrate there and let's go and set up ourselves there. Some people will, because we always have people who think outside the box and are like, okay, well, you know what, there's no competition here. I'm going to go here because, you know, I can set up this, that, and the other, and I can make money from that. We're going to have those people. But those people that think like that are rare. Most people want to go where they can turn over their money very quickly, right? Because we look for instant gratification when it comes to certain things. So we want to go to the places that's going to make us the most money in the quickest amount of time. So those are the places that most people are going to go for, which is going to put too much burden on those particular countries, right? Other people are not necessarily thinking about, okay, let me go to these poorer countries, right? And that's kind of like how this whole thing has started with Ghana opening up its doors to the world as well, right? People love Ghana as an entry point because Ghana, although we have our problems, right? The infrastructure, you can kind of navigate it. Our infrastructure is not perfect, but you can kind of navigate it, right? It's an easy, soft landing as opposed to some of the other countries. So people like Ghana for that reason. But if everybody was to flood in Ghana, we couldn't function. We need to put some things in place. So that's the problem. And that's why people say that a borderless Africa is a fairy tale, because we need to work on certain things before we can open up the borders and say, yes, we are one. Mindsets have to change before we can even begin to think about going there. You know, a lot of the comments on the previous video as well, people were saying, well, you know, look at the whole Ghana must go thing with Nigeria. You know, you can't even sort that out first. And you're talking about having a borderless Africa, or that people should be able, you know, people should be able to travel freely in Africa as they will, right? Now that issue, Ghana must go and Nigeria, has been a very, very long-standing one. And honestly, like, there's not much I can say about it, because it really does come down to mindsets and how people think. People will discriminate others because of where they're from, simply from hearing their accent or what they think. You know, unfortunately, you know, I came across this video on Instagram. In fact, I want you guys to watch it with me.
We should stop renting rooms for Nigerians. We should stop renting shops for Nigerians. Those who are selling lands for foreigners, they should stop. Foreigners who are buying land in Ghana, a time will come, we are going to take all those things back from you people. The country belongs to Ghanaians. We can't share our country with anybody. Ghana is for Ghanaians alone. So my advice to the ladies who are giving themselves to Nigerian guys, they are using you people to destroy Ghana.
You see, I mean, I'm not going to go too much into what she's saying, because everybody's going to have their opinions, and, you know, like religion, we can never solve it. We can never make everybody be on one page. But her viewpoint backs up exactly what people are saying. We can't even sort issues like this out. She's saying that Ghana is for Ghanaians. Ghana is for Ghanaians, yes, but every country can say the same thing about their own country. This is why some people are saying South Africa is for South Africans. Every country can sing a similar song, right? But it's such a shame that when it most matters, we can't unite. We can't see past our individual differences to see the bigger picture. Some people are focused on things that they think that are important to them on a one-to-one level, that they're failing to see the bigger picture of what it is. You know, I watched a video recently where somebody said, in fact, it was Derek from Connected Minds. He said that, you know, sometimes when you are too close to something, you're unable to see the bigger picture. So the closer you are to something, you're unable to see everything around you. And that's kind of like what's happening here, right? So people are seeing this thing in front of them where they're like, we don't like Nigerians. Nigerians have caused us problems. Nigerians bring crime. Nigerians do this, that, and the other. That's what is said, right? I'm not saying I agree with it. That's what is being said. And so because of that, you're unable to see the bigger picture, what's happened globally in Africa, and why the reasons why we need to unite. Because you can't get past that. Because you can't get past A, you cannot get to B. And that is the problem that is going on. And until we fix that, a borderless Africa is going to be damn near impossible because of all the things that are going to happen. But you know, it goes deeper than that, because even before the borders were created, we had a whole thing of tribalism. Tribalism comes in so many... Tribalism is just so strong. So it's like, okay, even if there are no borders and we no longer recognize South Africa as being South Africa, Ghana as being Ghana, Nigeria as being Ghana, Nigeria as being Nigeria, you know, Kenya as being Kenya, and all of those things, right? We still look for differences amongst each other, whether it's the country, it's the accent, the way someone looks, we're always looking at our differences, and we're never looking at what actually can unite us. And because of that, we will never be able to go anywhere. And that's why this issue in South Africa has been blown up, because now what's happening is some people are able to see the bigger picture, right? And so they want to fight for the unity of Africa. But we still have people who think very differently, people who are still thinking smaller than that and are thinking about issues that they feel that we can't get past, and therefore, as I said, you can't leave A and go to B if you haven't corrected A. And so that's part of the problem. But the issue in South Africa is very big, it's wide, it's going global. Everybody right now is talking about it, and everybody has a different viewpoint. And pretty much, in my opinion, if we can't all get on the same page, nothing is going to change. We're going to have this repeating cycle. Like, once this dies down, it will die down for a time. We won't hear about it on social media anymore. And then it will come back again. Give it a few years, it will come back again. And it will keep recirculating until we actually solve issues. That's the thing with issues. They always find a way to keep coming back. Just like recessions, they come back every few years, it comes back again, until we're actually able to solve the root cause of the problem. But anyway, you guys let me know what you think about what I've said. Do you think a borderless Africa is actually possible? What do you think the pros and cons are? I know I've touched on some of it. I haven't touched on all of it. I know some of you think it's a fairy tale. Some people think it's very much achievable. We all have a different school of thoughts as to why. We have different schools of thoughts as to why South Africa is in the position that it's in and all of that. So let me know what you think in the comment section. Okay, and I'm going to end the video right there. If you would like to do a one-to-one consultation with me about moving to Ghana, you can send me an email to dela@moretodela.com. Also, if you would like to rent one of my 2 one-bedroom apartments, they are available for short-term and long-term stay. You can send me an email to the same email address. Also, if you would like to purchase some of my whip shea butter, you can click on the link that's in this video, or you can head to the website, which is fafabydela.com, and you can purchase some shea butter from there. Okay, that's the end. If you haven't already subscribed to this channel, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Don't forget to also like, comment and share this video. Until next time, I am out. Bye.
Me wind and rain, you're some kind of bird.